In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an amazing poster design in Photoshop. Grab your mouse as we dive in. First and foremost, we are going to create a new document. Choose a solid color. With a solid color in place, we are going to create a new layer. Grab a soft round brush. So we select the soft round brush. Opacity is set to 100, foreground is set to white. We make the brush smaller by the left bracket key, then we click once. With the move tool selected, we just position this and make it bigger. Set the blend mode to overlay. Ctrl J to make a copy. Then we set the blend mode of the second layer to normal and reduce opacity. Now let's grab our resources or items. So first of all, we are going to copy this item. Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. Right click and convert to a smart object. Ctrl T, we scale it up, we make it bigger. We have it right here this way. Let's grab the sky or clouds. Ctrl T, we scale it up. We are just going to create a max. Grab the gradient tool. Set it to foreground to transparent, and we are just going to drag this way to erase it. To erase just a reasonable part of it. So we grab the second clouds. Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste, Ctrl T transform, so we make it bigger. With the layer selected, we create a max. We grab the gradient tool. And we are just going to drag once again. We copy this item. Right click and convert to smart object. Then we just drop this layer right here. Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. Right click and convert to smart object, Ctrl T. We scale it, we make it bigger, we scale it up. Let's grab the rock now. With this layer selected, we are going to create a mask. Grab the brush tool and we are going to grab a grass. We are going to select one of the grass brush. Opacity is set to 100. We reduce the size. So we will increase it by the right bracket key. We right click and then we are just going to rotate it this way. So we have its angle set right here. Foreground is set to black. And we can start erasing just this part. With this layer selected, we are going to create an exposure adjustment layer. Clip onto the layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft brush. Increase opacity. Set foreground to white. And we are going to paint. We are going to create a vibrance adjustment layer. Right click on the layer and create a clipping mask. With the layer selected, we create an exposure adjustment layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft brush and then we set opacity, set foreground to white, and we paint some shadows. Create another exposure adjustment layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We can bring this back. With this layer selected, we are going to reduce the opacity. Create a mask. We grab the polygonal lasso tool. We zoom in. And then we are just going to create a selection. So we create a selection this way. Then we are just going to right click and fill with foreground color. Sorry, background color, because background color is set to black. Then we click OK, Ctrl D to deselect. Now we can set opacity back to 100. So we need to drop the Coca-Cola can. We have it right here. And we are just going to drop it right under the grass. We have it this way. With the grass layer selected, we are going to create an exposure adjustment layer clipped onto the layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft hand brush, and then we are going to paint some shadows. We are going to create another exposure adjustment layer clipped onto the layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. And we are going to paint some shadows. The layer selected, we are going to let's delete this first. Just press delete. We are going to create a curves adjustment layer. Ctrl J to make a group. Ctrl J to make a copy. Then we are just going to make this one smaller. And position it right here. So with this layer selected, we are going to create an exposure, a curves adjustment layer, Then we'll go for exposure, also clipped onto the layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft hand brush and we start painting. With this layer selected, we are going to create an exposure adjustment, a curves adjustment layer. So we create an exposure adjustment layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft hand brush. We increase opacity. Foreground is set to white and we paint. We are going to create another exposure adjustment layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. And we paint. With this layer selected, we are going to apply a Gaussian blur to it. With the Coca-Cola can selected, we are going to create an exposure adjustment layer. Clipped onto the layer with the mark selected, Ctrl I to invert. We grab a soft brush. Foreground is set to white. And we are going to paint. We're going to create another exposure adjustment layer. With the mark selected, Ctrl I to invert. So we are just going to slap this crack overlays onto the can. Right click and create a clipping mask. Then we're just going to position them right here. Ctrl J to make a copy. Ctrl J to make another copy. Once we have everything in place, I'm just going to press Ctrl Alt Shift E to merge all layers. Right click and convert to smart objects. Then we apply camera raw filter, camera raw filter. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, stay creative.